Hi, everybody. It's 2:30 and we'll begin. I'm Beth Spasia with WSIU Public Broadcasting, and I'm pleased to welcome the Carbondale Public Library and representatives from local businesses and Southern Illinois University to this very special edition of IndieLens Pop-Up Family Business. Today, we're going to hear from Southern Illinois Asian restaurateurs who will talk to us about what it's like to be in business, their life, family, culture, and of course, food. So if you haven't been on an IndieLens pop-up Zoom experience yet, you can make the most of this by using the chat box. Please feel free to introduce yourself and make comments. You can also use the Q&A box for questions. These boxes are shown in icons on the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're having technical problems or need support, use the icon with a hand to raise your hand, and Jennifer Robertson, Diana Brawley-Sussman, or I will help you. Throughout the conversation, we ask that there's a fair exchange of ideas and give and take. Please be respectful. We also invite you to stay for the entire program, which will last about an hour or a little longer, depending on how many questions pop up. Stay for the entire program and you can have the opportunity to win a gift card. We're giving out two $25 gift cards for the restaurants that we're visiting with today. That includes New Kahala and Baan Thai. Now, this event today is based on an upcoming movie from Independent Lens that will be broadcasting on PBS and WSIU television. That's Monday, May 24th, 9 p.m. Central. You will also be able to watch the film online streaming at the PBS website, which is shown. There are a number of online screenings available throughout the United States, and you can participate in those. The national screening with the film directors and other guests from the film will be held this coming Wednesday, May 19th, and you can use that link to register for the national online film screening. If you would like to see resources from this film, including discussion guide, links to immigrant resource centers, links to Asian American information, you can go to the WSIU website and our Donut King page. The Carbondale Public Library's website also provides lots of great resources to make the most of this film. Now it's time to watch a little preview of the upcoming film. Let's watch.
Donut time.
Uncle Ted opened up 70 donut shops.
They call me Donut King.
He gave Cambodian refugees a chance to make it in America.
At one time, he estimates his wealth at $20 million.
Life was good.
We're gonna be truthful, right? He wasn't the perfect man.
I lost everything. Everything.
It's hard to believe that he could allow that to happen.
Don't let the good chance slip away.
Okay. I don't know about you, but my mouth was watering when I saw those delicious looking donuts. I cannot wait to watch this film when it broadcasts on May 24th. But right now, it's time to meet our special guests. We have 3 different guests from restaurants in Southern Illinois, along with another special guest from Southern Illinois University. So let's get started today. Our first panelist is William Lowe. Many of you may already know this gentleman. He is the founder of Southern Illinois Eats on Facebook, which is wildly popular, and his restaurant is also very popular. It's the new Kahala in Carbondale. Let's welcome William Lowe.
Hello, everyone. Just kind of adding on the donut thing, when I watched it, I really wanted a donut, but I think that's the great thing about food is that no matter what ethnicity, what culture, food brings us together. But thanks for the introduction. My name is William. Most of you know me through New Kahala. Just a quick history of who we are. My parents, my dad is from China, my mom is from Taiwan. They had the privilege of coming to America on a work visa to kind of seek out better, better opportunities. And then they went to New York because there was, a large group of, Asians in that area. And then dad started as a dishwasher, mom started as a waitress, and they hustled kind of like in the movie. They hustled 7 days a week, trying to give us kids a better life. And New York was getting a little rough. They wanted a better place to raise their kids. So my uncle, who is also a restaurateur in Southern Illinois, said, "Hey, why don't you guys move here?" So we moved here the fall of '92, and then we bought Kahala Fast Foods from him, and then we've been running and hustling ever since.
Anything else, William?
I guess we could touch on Southern Illinois Eats very briefly. Me and my wife founded that group after New House in Carbondale closed. So we've kind of, for almost 2 years now, that's been our passion, is supporting local mom and pop restaurants, just to, level the playing field. It's hard to compete with all these national chains that's been popping left and right, no disrespect to them, but us local restaurants, we need, it's harder for us to stay in business because we don't have the financial backing of these big corporate places. So we wanted a way to be able to level the playing field, and we're just super thrilled that all these restaurants have, done better, been able to keep the doors open, and with the collective efforts of everybody in the community.
I'm a big fan of your Facebook page. I've followed that since it started, and I have to say that I think that having a place for the community to engage in meaningful conversation online during the pandemic has made a huge positive contribution to keeping doors open. So thank you, William.
No thanks needed. I think I'm just honored to have that opportunity.
Okay, let's take a look at our next panelist. That's Annie Albert, and Annie operates Baan Thai in Marion.
Hello, everyone. My name is my real name is Anuchai Albert. I go by Annie here. Yeah, I come from Thailand. I don't know about much food because all my life I work, like I said, I born in Thailand. All my life I work as a registered nurse in Thailand. Then I moved to the state by married American. I have 2 sons be with me here. And I start to open the restaurant since October 2015 because I have a passion about cooking. I like cooking, and I would like a lot of people, I would like American know about real Thai food.
Annie, one of the things that strikes me about your cooking is it is authentic, at least as far as a Southern Illinois girl is concerned. when I've enjoyed food from your restaurant, I was always so impressed with your cooking passion. And I loved the way that it was simple, but so flavorful. Great taste and a great cook. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Let me say, first of all, I'm so worried when first I start the restaurant, right? I would like to do like an authentic food, but I'm a little bit concerned because I'm afraid that American cannot gonna eat it because it, like I said, is a flavorful. I do like I cook at home, so not like we do for business for selling, but I do everything like I cook for my family at home.
Anything else, Annie?
Not.
Okay, we will hold until questions in just a little bit. Thanks again.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask me because like I'm the new here. I have not much to say, but I just would like to know I'm the new here. I open Baan Thai restaurant because I write American people to learn and know about Thai food. Anything else?
That's good for now. Thanks again. We'll move to our next panelist. And I'm very pleased to present Lee Nguyen, who's the owner of the former Pali Kai restaurant in Marion. Lee?
All right. Well, first off, I would just like to thank everyone for being here and thanks for having me. A little about our story. This will be, I guess, the first time I've told the story, well, via Zoom or anywhere else. But a number of our customers have heard the story because I've told them all the story when they come in. We always kind of, made everyone family at our place. So 1975, mom and dad, well, let me start over. First thing is we're Vietnamese. So in 1975, mom and dad needed to get out. And so they escaped the war and thankfully ended up landing here in the United States in 75, ended up in one of the refugee camps here in the United States. Around that time, thankfully, Second Baptist Church here out of Marion, Illinois, wanted to sponsor our family. They ended up sponsoring my oldest brother, my mom, and my dad, and put them up in a trailer here in West Frankfort, Illinois. So after getting put up there, mom went to work there on a chicken farm, loading a trailer every day, 7 days a week, just loading trailers full of chicken eggs. Dad went to work for a factory, and I believe around 1980 is when, 1982 maybe, is when the tornado came through and took the trailer, took the chicken farm, and took everything away. So mom and dad had to start over all over again. So at that time, mom went to Carbondale and worked for a Chinese restaurant. And after working there for about 6 months, mom realized, I could open up my own. So she learned how to cook all kinds of different Chinese food, learned how to cook all kinds of different American food, and decided, I'm going to open my own. So she began saving and saving. And, after a year into it, she saved up enough money to open a restaurant. So we opened up in the original location, which is over there right behind the old police department, right next to the post office here in Marion. That was the original location in 1982. So she opened up there, and she was there for a number of years, and she decided to open a second location, which is in the Red Line Inn, which is now the Days Inn here in Marion, which is right behind the Circle K over there off of Carbon. For the longest time, we were there as a Chinese and American restaurant. We had had Chinese food, had American food. Mom had fried chicken, meatloaf, sweet and sour chicken, basically the whole gambit, just a full-on buffet. and until about 1992, actually somewhere in the 80s, I can't remember the exact year, some in the 80s, the original location was closed and sold to a friend. And then in 92, unfortunately, Mom shut down again. Things got hard. We weren't making money. It just was hard to stay open. So in 92, she went back to work for a friend in Carbondale. And in 96, we had an unfortunate accident, and my brother actually passed away. And so we all had to get to work. And Mom and Dad's like, we all have to do something. We all have to get out. We all have to do something together. So in 96, the original location, which is over on Madison Street, reopened, was vacated. And so we got in there, got everything all set up again. Reopened there in 96 and went right back to Pali Kai. Went back to selling sweet and sour chicken, Pali Kai fried rice, just selling all the food that everyone's known and loved. And so we opened there in 96 and just, been there since till 2018, I think it was. So August of 2018 was the last time we were open. So Mom's been retired for about 3 years now. And so that's kind of where we're at, I've grown up with Marion. Marion has grown up with me. I'm 39 years old, and so we all grew old together, and everyone's grown up with Pali Kai. So it's not a day we don't get out and about in the public and see people, and they're like, hey, what's going on Pali Kai? What are we doing? We miss you guys, and just to say, we miss you guys too. So not saying Pali Kai is over, but we'll see. So that's kind of the story here.
Thank you, Lee. That's really interesting. And you have certainly gone through more than your fair share of difficulties and challenges in the business world. And Marion has been a good community support for you. I'll be interested to hear a little bit more about that as the hour unfolds. Next, I would like to introduce everyone to our moderator. Jennifer Butler is going to help with the exchange of information and sharing the conversation among the panelists today. We're so pleased that Jennifer could join us. She is the director of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion at SIU in the School of Business and Analytics. So let's welcome Jennifer now.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I have a small confession. I've only been in the Carbondale area for now that it's May, a year. So if it wasn't for Southern Illinois Eats, I probably wouldn't know about many restaurants. So when I was like, William's going to be on this panel, I was like, oh, this is going to be so awesome. And then to get to moderate and just have a discussion with all of y'all is just a great thing. So a little bit about me, as Beth said, I am the director of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion for the College of Business and Analytics. And so what my job entails is I pretty much, I work in student services. So I'm on the student service side of things. And my job is to help either first generation students or underrepresented students from underrepresented groups, making sure that they are able to succeed. So we are very student focused and student oriented. And we are just making sure that they aren't facing any obstacles and that their focus can be on their education and getting through their college experience. And so a little bit about me personally, as you notice, maybe my last name is Butler, but I may not quite look like a butler. That's because I am Vietnamese. I was born in San Antonio, Texas, and I was adopted. And so when I was watching, I actually got the chance to see Donut King. So when I was watching it, a lot of the story kind of hit with the biological family that I have and I have since met. And fast forward, I have my PhD and I did that actually abroad. So I spent the last 10 years in Taiwan doing my PhD. So hello, now I'm in Southern Illinois, but I'm very excited and let's get to this. People, do you have questions? If not, I'm going to pose a few until people are brave enough to ask some. So I'm gonna wait just a couple of seconds and see if there are any questions here. Oh, we have such great panelists. Come on. We want to ask them some questions. So while you're thinking about some questions, let's go ahead. And so this is just something I was curious about because of the Southern Illinois Eats aspect. Beth touched on it a little bit, the Facebook group. So I think this is going towards you, William. But as a business owner, a restaurateur, have you and your colleagues, the other restaurant owners in the area, have you kind of banded together to kind of go, oh, we need a social media presence? And how is this helping reach like the college age kids and be like, hey, during this pandemic, we are open and what can we do to, you know, get food out? So how is this Facebook presence of yours, this little side thing that you started about 2 years ago, I believe, really going, and how do you see its impact in the community?
I have met tons of restaurant owners, and you know, and they reach out to me. I actually have another side group for business owners where we share resources. I know with the different grants and revitalization, you know, money that's coming out. You know, we've been sharing a lot of that information. We sometimes somebody runs out of something. You know, we share the resources. Unfortunately, you know, there's not a lot of Asian restaurants that are active. You know, I think, you know, Annie from Baan Thai, they post a lot, but some of the other ones, they kind of stick to themselves and I don't really know them. And then, so I wish more of them would participate just because I think they could, you know, and there's no such thing as too much business. So yeah, so I've got to know a lot of them, and I've been, I guess, the unofficial, unappointed spokesperson. So I've been, you know, speaking to the news a lot. Just I think, you know, the average consumer doesn't really know the inner workings of a restaurant, you know, regardless if it's Asian or American or Indian or Thai, you know. So I think an educated consumer is a better consumer. So I've been trying to really, you know, kind of be outspoken about it. That way, you know, they're more knowledgeable and they kind of know. And I love food, and you know, I love food. I love all kinds of food. So a question I get asked a lot is, oh, like, how do you, you know, like, you're always supporting your competitors. I'm like, but we're not competitors. We're just, you know, we're all trying to, you know, make a living in the region. So I don't see us as competition. We're just all trying to get a piece of our pie.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so I have another quick question. Let's see, some are coming in. Actually, we're gonna do one from Anthony. So for those who grew up in a family restaurant, what was the experience like growing up in that environment, and how did you navigate the decision to continue running a restaurant as an adult? Thank you, Anthony. Anyone? Anyone?
You know, I mean, go ahead. I'll speak. I already spoke, so I'll come back.
Why don't you take it and then we can go through.
Me? Okay. And I think I went to school with Anthony. I'm sure it's one of the same. I think we graduated. Or I think we either graduated the same year. I graduated Carbondale Community High School 02. I missed out as a childhood, and I think Lee could probably attest to that. You know, like, we grew up in the restaurant, so, you know, we didn't do sleepovers, we didn't go hang out with friends. I see him chuckling. So, you know, I didn't have a childhood, but it taught me great work ethic, because, you know, we worked 7 days a week. We opened at 11, we closed at 11 at night. So I guess the community, our guests, became my second family. So it was really easy for me to continue doing, you know, what I do, just because they're like family. And I love seeing, you know, I've known several couples who, you know, they had their first dates at the restaurant. Now their kids are, you know, they're in high school. So I love seeing, you know, them grow and their kids grow, and they're like my family. So, and, you know, I've grown to love, you know, feeding people, and then just kind of seeing the smile on their faces. So for me, it was just natural. And, you know, I did take a 5-year leave just to kind of do other things, but, you know, family, and you know, it's an industry that I love. So I came back, you know, obviously.
Well, to kind of touch on that and add to it. I mean, growing up in a family restaurant, I mean, you know, that's where I was there 7 days a week, 6, 7 days a week. You know, I've got people that still come up to me and say, "Hey, you know, you remember that booth in the back of the restaurant that we used to find you like sleeping in?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure do." And so at Pali Kai, we had a little conference center, and so on the one side there's all these booths in the back, and you know that would be my spot. That's where I would go and hide, and that's where I would be. You know, I was, you know, what, 2, 3 years old. I mean, people in this community saw me grow up. You know, as far as having many experiences, you know, for myself, you know, it's different. My brothers kind of experienced a little bit more because they were younger, and you know, things kind of change. But you know, growing up in the environment, I mean, it's just all I knew. I mean, I hate to say it, it's probably kind of embarrassing to say it, but the first time I went out to a sit-down restaurant and picked up a menu and ordered food was when I was 15 years old. So, I mean, yeah, we had McDonald's, we had Hardee's and stuff, but the first time I think it was probably Ruby Tuesday, and it's when I went out to dinner with my current wife, which we've been together for 24 years. So, it was just wild, you know, just to know that, you know, I didn't see a whole lot, didn't experience a whole lot. So I'm still getting out there and experiencing a lot of different things now, you know, as an adult. So as far as going back to running the business, you know, as right now the business is closed, mom is retired, and so you know, for me it's kind of tough because, as I said earlier, that, you know, I grew up with Pali Kai, so for me it's going to be tough to let Pali Kai kind of stop with mom retiring. So we'll just kind of leave it at that for now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So this is kind of a blanket question to everyone. So feel free who wants to start this question. Let me go ahead and read it out. So based off of your clientele, your customers, what is some of the food that they most like, that you, I guess, most like to prepare for them? And the type of food, does the kind of food that you guys enjoy really sync with the food that people here locally like to eat? Or did you have to kind of adjust your menus for the Southern Illinois palate? And then lastly, going on this, is it hard getting some of those ingredients to do the cooking that I mean, Annie was talking about authentic Thai flavors. And so is it hard to get some of those ingredients here in this location? So Annie, do you want to go first?
Yes, for the ingredient, it's not hard because we have a food distributor that I got from St. Louis. Yeah, it's most of the thing is like in Thailand, but for import. The flavor may be a little bit different from Thailand because they make for import, but it's a good, you know, it's good for like a people here. Either way, good for Asian people to have our ingredient that from your original country. It is not very difficult, and I'm so glad that I can find my ingredient for cooking. It is not hard. It's not hard at all.
Awesome. What about you, Lee? Was it hard for you to find some of the ingredients, your family, to get any of the ingredients specific for your cooking styles?
As far as ingredients go, it's really wasn't a problem for us here. You know, as Annie said, you know, there's vendors that we can get from. You know, as mentioned earlier, you know, we're actually Vietnamese, and so mom didn't know how to cook Chinese food, and so when she went to, you know, work for a Chinese restaurant owner, she learned how to cook it, and you know, kind of added our own kind of twist to it. So it's not your typical Chinese food that you're going to come across. It has like it's a different twist to it, but yeah, it's not hard to find the ingredients, you know. So as far as what we eat, I'll be honest, like for the most part, aside from the fried rice, that's probably about the only thing I eat that we cook. I mean, I stir fry the vegetables differently for myself. I mean, I make it more like a Vietnamese style whenever I cook for myself. But as far as what we sell, you know, every now and then I'll get a hankering for the, you know, sweet and sour chicken or some of the Pali Kai fried rice. But I mean, truthfully, we don't, you know, as growing up in our household, and I'm sure William and Annie can both attest to this. Growing up at home, family meals were buffet style, and not necessarily like a buffet style you would think of. You literally have, a meat, a vegetable, probably some kind of fruit, maybe a soup. Everyone gets a bowl of rice, and we all share. Everyone's dipping in with their chopsticks and getting what they want. Whereas, I'll tell you, it was kind of a culture shock growing up, getting as I got older to get a whole entire steak by myself or a whole meal by myself. It's kind of, it was just kind of different for me, So like even like in my family now at home, my wife and kids, we'll cook 1 12-ounce steak and I'll cut it up and we'll all eat 1 12-ounce steak, which I know that's not a lot, but everyone gets what they want. And, it's just, it's different. But if there was, a favorite dish for us, it'd be our egg rolls. We make our own egg rolls, and the fried rice is always a favorite for everybody. It's crazy too, because like, as we got customers in and people came in, I always told people we were kind of like the Asian version of Cheers. People would come in, they would sit down. Okay, you're gonna have the, wonton soup and no onions. You want the pepper steak with no tomato. You want, this. So no one ever ordered their food. Everyone just sat down. We would just bring it right out. And every once in a while they'd try like, well, I want something different. Well, what do you want? Well, actually, just give me my usual. And so.
Awesome. William, you want to weigh in?
I just want to kind of add a little bit to what Lee said. I wish when I go to a lot of American places, they have the lazy Susans that, if you go to like a dim sum place, a lot of Chinese restaurants, you can move that little lazy Susan. But, when you're doing, American food and when you're doing a family style, you don't have the long chopsticks to be able to reach across the table, So I wish more places had the lazy Susans because that's what we grew up with, especially with dim sum and whatnot. But yeah, and I think more and more people are willing to kind of experiment, with different foods. Even I know New Kahala, like we had just your normal, Americanized Chinese food, and we've added a little bit of more authentic things throughout the years, and people have kind of, really started liking it. And like kind of like Annie, like she does authentic stuff. Like maybe like 15, 20 years ago, I think if you sold the rock and roll clams, I think some Americans would be like, oh, I don't know what that is. But but now, like when I posted about the rock and roll clams, everybody's like, oh, it's great, like I love it. And I see it's mostly Americans, and that's great, because I think growing up as an Asian, like we were afraid to bring Chinese food, like traditional Chinese food to lunch, just because you open it and it smells weird, and you know how kids are. So we would get weird looks and, some comments. So, and it's good to know that kind of, people have started to accept different cultures and different foods and different flavors. And it's great to see all these, local restaurants pop up that reflect everybody's different tastes.
I have to say that when I first landed in Taipei, I was not prepared for the stinky tofu smell, and it's like everywhere. And I was just, what is that? And then as I lived there a little bit longer, I was like, oh, this is normal. It's just walking down the street smell. But honestly, that's kind of the reverse, because when I landed there, I was like, where's the sweet and sour chicken? Where are my egg rolls? And no, that's all an American restaurant experience. That is not like, Asian food. And I was like, oh, so much to learn. So a little bit following what William had said, touching on it, Kathleen had a question asking if you have seen your customers' preferences over the past 20 years kind of changed, and if their tastes have broadened to accept dishes that would be more traditional in your country. So William has kind of touched on this. Annie, Lee, do you want to weigh in first before William wraps that thought up?
I would like to add, sorry,
No,
Lee. I would like to add up to William that first of all, I'm very, very afraid to bring all the original or authentic flavor. Like William talk about rock and roll clam, right? It's like I said, I do on the way that I cook at home. And one thing that concerned me, because a lot of Americans, they don't like fish sauce. Many some of menu that they have fish sauce. Fish sauce is good for Asian people. It's very flavorful, right? Flavorful, but it's a fishy smell. But from now on, a lot of Americans they can eat fish, the food that are cooked with fish sauce. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that they accept the new thing. I don't know about you, but I'm so happy that I have the customer that order food that I prepare with fish sauce, like we call lab. Lab is like a spicy mix, and I'm so sorry that some American cannot eat. But one is I'm so happy that they accept that they can eat it. I have one customer, one regular customer. He always order salmon, spicy salmon, and he order all the time is Thai hot. I said, oh, it's really hot. I just wanted to say and add from the William, I'm so happy that now new generation, new American generation, a lot of American, they can eat real Asian food, especially Thai flavor food. Thank you. Okay, next, Yuri.
You know, thinking back, you know, if we were to actually do Vietnamese food back in the 80s when we first started, there's no way it ever would have flown. I mean, just being honest, you know, it would never have made it. Now, you know, and you know, with the war and everything being so fresh, and that's kind of really one of the reasons why I say it never would have made it, because it probably wouldn't have been accepted back then. But now it's different. Things have changed. People are starting to see more. I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there is a pho craze right now, and people are going nuts over pho everywhere. And so I think Vietnamese food would make a big deal here now, which actually, you know, we actually just had a Vietnamese restaurant open up. I think, Will, you posted about it up in Benton. SI Pho just opened up, and I've yet to get over there yet, but it looks amazing, and I'm anxious to get up there. I just haven't got up that way yet. But I mean, I think they're going to do really well. I mean, it's different. You know, I don't know when Chinese food really actually started here in the States, but I would assume probably early 80s, maybe somewhere in the 70s is when, you know, a lot of Asian immigrants got here, you know, and I'm sure they had a rough road, you know, getting going, getting out there, but, you know, it's different now. I mean, everyone is seeing different tastes, seeing different flavors. I think social media, I think TV, I think all of it has just changed what, you know, people's outlook are. But I'm touching on what Annie had said, you know, fish sauce does not smell good. I do everything I can not to get it on my skin, not to touch it, because it does not smell good later. But if you ever had it, it tastes amazing. You know, we make a sauce called Nuc Mam, which is fish sauce and garlic and hot sauce, and we dip everything in it. We cover all our food in it. Somehow we end up with it on our hands and just can't stand the smell of it. It does taste amazing. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, Annie, this is a question specifically for you. What percentage of your customers order Thai hot?
Thai hot, from now on, I think 50 to 60%. And you know, some customer, they order 4 or 5 double Thai hot. I said, oh my God, you're going to kill me. You enjoy to eat, but you're going to kill a cook. Because you know, when the spicy thing hit on a wok, oh my God, smell all the pepper. But the customer still enjoy it. I said, okay, you can add up as much you can, but be careful. Like, yeah, now I can tell 50 to 60% they order Thai hot.
Brave,
it's really hot.
I still can't. Yeah, I can't do it that hot. Okay, so we're gonna ask. Let's see. So we have representatives with different different restaurant types here. We have the Thai, we have the Chinese, Taiwanese, and then we had the Pali Kai. So somebody wanted to know, one of our audience participants wanted to know, what's the difference or what's something noteworthily different between these cuisines? So could you maybe just highlight a little bit of what's special about maybe Thai food versus the type that the other restaurants have?
Sorry, what do you mean? Thai food? What different about Thai food or
from
what?
like other Asian cuisines? So what's something that's uniquely Thai? Because for me, top things that I think of are like shrimp pancakes and pad Thai. So
For me, Thai food have in one dish have every flavor. Yeah, we have like a salty, sweet, sour, and very flavorful in one dish. It's not like a plain, like a too sweet. Any menu have many flavor in one dish for me, and a lot of people accept that. A lot of people agree that Thai food is flavorful. Not only one flavor in one dish and another dish have another flavor. No, we have all flavor in one dish.
awesome. Okay, how about you, William? You want to weigh in on maybe some differences between the different cuisines?
Yeah, I think, Chinese food is, it's a little more savory. It's a little more, straightforward. It's salty, it's spicy. I think Chinese specifically doesn't have the plethora of flavors. Like if you compare it to like Thai food or Vietnamese food, they use, these lemongrass. There's a lot like more fresh herbs involved. And, in Chinese cooking, we do garlic, we do fresh vegetables, but we don't have that, for lack of a better word, like a well-rounded, flavor. It's either just like salty, spicy with fresh vegetables, while Thai and Vietnamese, and they have more, that's where you get the wedge of, lime to kind of put on your food. Just a different flavor profile. I think, theirs is, it's got more layers of flavor, I guess you could say.
Awesome. Lee, any thoughts here?
I mean, just going along what William had mentioned, there's just a lot of layers. I mean, I know that, we've never sold Vietnamese food, but, comparing to, Vietnamese to Chinese or even to Thai or any of the others, their Vietnamese food does have a lot of layers. So does, Thai, but it seems to me with Chinese food, you just you make multiple dishes and they all come together as one. Whereas like with, Vietnamese food or Thai food, you make one dish and it's all, one dish. And so I think with like with pho itself, it takes a long time to make pho. It's not like something you just make. There's steps. There's a lot of prep work. Like even like Indian food. I know there's some Indian foods that take 4 and 6 hours. And it's at this time you add this, or at this time you add this, or at this time you add this. I mean, it's how you build all those layers. So, but yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna switch a little bit towards Donut King, the indie film that the IndieLens film that we were kind of previewing earlier. And so I believe all of you have either seen part of it or most of it or all of it. And so based on watching it, how did this film maybe reflect or mirror your own life experiences? And did you feel any like connection with the story, even though it's about donuts and we're not really in the donut business right now? But how did this impact you? Lee, do you want to go ahead and we'll just go the other way?
Yeah, sure. Well, I know not everyone's seen it, but I would say my presentation about the culture and everything that my family kind of went through, you could equate that to being like a, backyard trailer for Donut King. I mean, maybe a bad reference, but everything in it like hit home for me. There were so many aspects of Donut King that I saw that I was like, wow, yeah, I've been through that. And just to see that and realize that, I wasn't the only family here in the United States, growing up growing up here in America, I experienced what they experienced. I mean, the ups and downs, all of it. I mean, all of that was like in that movie. And so just the main character and just seeing everyone go through what they went through and seeing all the outpour and the people, the following, all of it. I mean, it really hit home. Everything that they went through was just like, I feel as if they were following me around and, made a movie for Hollywood based off of my life. So I kind of changed it a little bit, made it donuts instead of Chinese food. But, I will say it definitely was a true reflection of what a lot of us went through when we came here to, seek better things.
Awesome. William?
This kind of rounds back to what Lee was saying about, beginning of Asian restaurants. And I think with it being Asian, I think the current immigration climate of the United States and also being Asian Awareness Month, most Chinese restaurants, they originated in San Francisco. Many Americans at the time were, they were not accepting of Asians. So the only thing we could do was things that were perceived as things that men shouldn't do, which is laundry. This is why you see a lot of Asian laundromats, Asian dry cleaners, because those were seen as jobs that, were, that American males didn't do. So it was not a threat to, the American life, as you could say. Another thing is cooking, so, as an Asian, we're resourceful. So we were able to, start the Asian restaurants, start the dry cleaners. And that was a good way for, like in Donut King, that's how they were able to sponsor their Cambodian friends and family and countrymen. Chinese restaurants were our link to be able to, at that time, as a business owner, you can sponsor people from China so that way they can come to America as long as they were sponsored by the business. So that was our version of the Donut King. And that's how we brought our friends and family and everybody to America, is through that legal channel. But now I forgot what the original question was.
It was mostly if it impacted you, if it mirrored your life, things like that. You kind of touched on it. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just want to say that movie, it hit me 100%. I got a little emotional during it, just because, my uncle, who was a carpet restaurateur, wasn't a gambling, me and my parents, starting out, we worked 7 days a week, open to close. We didn't close for holidays because we wanted to, we had to make it. If we didn't make it, there was no fallback. So, we just hustled, and the movie portrayed it perfectly.
Annie, would you like to add anything to this?
I like that movie because I respect for his effort. He's working hard to start the restaurant, to support the family and support their people, For me, I'm the first generation. I don't have much experience about immigration, but I hope my next generation, they will have more experience to share with you in the future. Like I said, in the movie, I very, very respectful about his working hard. And I hope a lot of Asian people or American people, they're gonna work hard for their family and for community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we had a question in the chat from Adam, and Adam says, one of the things that has fascinated me about Chinese American cuisine is the regional element. We kind of touched on this a little bit. Can you speak to any unique Midwestern Chinese or Thai or Vietnamese dishes, or the way that you prepare things that you've learned and kind of acquired over the past couple of years or the past years?
Learn how to cook Thai food, American Thai food. Be honest, I don't know about American because I do only Thai food. I mean, because
I understand.
American food, I can go to the real American restaurant, right? I don't want to mix and match. For Thai food, I grew up in south, northeastern of Thailand. So the Thai food is different what in a region that you live. So I cook everything that my experience, that my parent or some kind of the restaurant in Thailand that I used to be there. So I cook everything like in my past, and it's not much different. Like the first question that you asked me, can we get an ingredient here? It is not hard because I get the ingredient in the brand that we use in Thailand, or some vegetable, and we can find it here. A lot of herbs like a lemongrass, basil, Thai chili, fish sauce, soy sauce, or curry paste. Everything not much different from Thailand. So everything is quite be like I in Thailand, not much different. I don't know. I answer you
That's
in
good.
the right question.
That's good. Thank you. I'm going to rephrase it just a little bit and aim it at William. So William, you had said something about your parents being in New York first. Was there a difference between restaurant life there or life there and now how you're serving things down here?
You know, as far as like cooking and eating and flavor wise, I don't, you know, I couldn't really answer that. I was too young. But I will say that, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, like your place is better than others, or your place is better than yours. You know, I always take that time to like educate the consumers that, you know, Chinese food, it depends on the owners. So my parents are Chinese and Taiwanese, but there are other restaurant owners that are Cantonese, or they're from Fujian province, and their food is going to be different. The food will reflect where their upbringing was. And as a consumer, you know, I'll use China Wok and Carbondale, for example. Their rice is a little on the yellow side. You know, sometimes they use butter or lard, and you know, so it's got a yellow hue to it. And ours is soy sauce, so it's got a brown hue to it. So it just depends on where you're gonna grow up at and where you're used to. As far as Midwestern differences, I know like if you go to Chicago, a lot of their rice is a little yellow because, you know, apparently up there, most of the restaurant owners are from the specific provinces. So it's a little more yellow. If you go to St. Louis, I call it St. Louis style. It's because they put a lot of soy sauce in it and it's super, super dark, which I always say, hey, that's a lot of high blood pressure. You may want to just ease back on that. But yeah, so if you know, so when a customer talks to me and they want their fried rice real brown, I'm like, hey, are you from St. Louis? And they'll be like, yeah. And I was like, so you want a St. Louis style? So there is not only not only is there like a difference in the region, but there's difference in, you know, where people were, you know, brought up from and what they're looking for. Sorry, getting.
Lee, do you have anything that you'd like to add to this idea, this question?
You know, as far as everything that we made at our place, you know, you can buy it locally. So you don't have to go to an international grocery. I mean, you can buy everything at Walmart. I mean, it's all there. But kind of touching on what William said as well, you know, I think it does have to do with where you came from, where you grew up, and the style you're gonna be cooking. And so, like I said, you know, with our Chinese food, mom kind of had her own little Vietnamese twist to it. Not that it's Vietnamese style, but it's just kind of, you know, her own twist to it. Because I promise you know, what you're gonna at William's place isn't gonna be the same stuff you're gonna get at our place. You know, so you kind of get a taste. Actually, all three of us. You know, any food you get from any one of us is gonna be completely different. Obviously, different from Thai, but you know, it's different. If you laid all of our fried rice out on a table and you got sampled, you know, they're not all gonna be the same. So, you know, it was often funny that, you know, when when mom was cooking. You know, you could tell when mom was in a good mood. You could tell when mom was in a bad mood. You know, she she was one of those that, you know, you could feel, you get the feelings out of her food. And so it's just, you know, just kind of reiterating on what, you know, Will mentioned. So
Awesome. Okay, so this is a question for Annie. This is specifically more about your story. So what was it like to immigrate here? Are there any elements or something that you miss about your home or back in Thailand? And what do you enjoy here in Southern Illinois? What are some things that you find challenging about Southern Illinois culture? Just, you know, a little bit of comparing Southern Illinois to Thailand, if you can even do that.
For me, first I came here, right? Oh, I think like everyone when moved to America, you don't know where you're gonna get your food. Yeah, first I miss my food. I don't know where I can get Asian grocery. I can get my Thai ingredient. So I miss that moment. But since I stay for long, I know where I can get my food, where I can get my ingredient. So I'm so happy. I enjoy here. For the food, it have no problem. Just sometimes I miss original food. I just really carving. Oh, if I go to Thailand, I gotta eat this, eat that. But when I go to Thailand, you can eat as you can because you have only one mouth, one stomach. You can afford it all. But since you live here, the culture, people is very nice, especially the weather. We came here about food, right? But food here, they have many restaurants like in Thailand. You have Thai restaurant, you have American restaurant, you have Vietnamese restaurant, you have Chinese restaurant. It's not much different from Thailand. For myself, like I said, I just came here for first generation here. Okay, I don't have my parents being here, so I'm only one that start here, and I have my two sons live with me, and it's not much different because in Thailand we have many franchise, many American restaurants. It's like I live here. It's not much different from I live in Thailand. Sometimes I just miss real, authentic food.
Awesome, thank you. So touching on this real authentic food idea, so since we have SIU, the university, and we do have quite a few international students, do you have any students that come in and like, oh man, this tastes like my mom, or at least this tastes like something familiar and homey? Have you ever gotten feedback that way from our international students or our international community?
Yeah, I have some SIU students come to eat here because they like food. But be honest, you cannot treat everyone, right? Some people like, some people dislike. But the customer, they have their choice. If you don't like this food, you don't like this restaurant, you can go to the restaurant that you like to make you happy. Yeah, but if some people that like this flavor, this kind of food, they come to the restaurant, like they come to my restaurant because they like our food. Some people doesn't like Thai food, they can go to Chinese to get Chinese food, to get a Vietnamese food, to get American food, Indian food. So you be honest, I cannot tell. I know I'm not the best, but if you like my food, just welcome to my restaurant.
What about you, William?
You know, we have a few different, you know, Taiwanese dishes. We do have like the chicken leg over rice and like the pork chop over rice. We do get a lot of comments, you know, from, you know, there's not as much Taiwanese students in SIU anymore. So, but you know, when there was, we would get a lot of like, oh, this is just like back home. There's a funny story. Mom was in Taiwan, this is years ago, and she was riding an elevator, and some lady was like, hey, you know, So in Chinese, we would say 老板娘, which means boss lady. And then so mom turned around like, who is that calling me? And then she's like, oh, I was in school in Carbondale and you had great food, So yeah, and we try to, we know that, I think now, I think more people are accepting of, traditional, authentic things, but we try to put a little bit in there that way, to kind of get people comfortable with it, I guess would be a good way to put it. So
Yeah, a good example of that is the what's your appetizer that's similar to guabao.
Yeah, it is guava actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
We try to keep the exact same ingredients as back home with the crushed peanuts and the pickled greens. Right now, there is a supply chain issue with that, so we haven't been able to offer that for a couple weeks. So hopefully, they can, that can come back.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any other questions at this point? I want to make sure that I haven't missed any questions from our audience. This is your chance to ask these amazing panelists some questions. Let's take a look. I don't want to miss anything from y'all before I just jump right in. So, okay. So something William said right at the beginning was that food brings us together. So in a community that doesn't have as many Asian restaurants now that maybe did in the past, but currently doesn't have as many Asian restaurants with the climate towards immigration and just, people that don't look the traditional American sense, how do you think you're able to kind of use your cuisine, use your restaurants to just bring our community together? And do you think food is a good bridge to kind of just bring communities together? I know that was a heavy one.
I think food can bring everyone together because people have to eat, right? People like to eat. And when you eat, like in a family, the way that you can bring family together, like when you have like a holiday or something, your family gather together, you talk, you share like in Thailand, new generation, instead you live together, your kid gonna work in another state, and when like a Christmas time, everyone come home, they share experience, they share their life when the part that they are part. When they come together, they talk about community. If we have like an event, something, we can sit together, we can brainstorming, we can share, we can bring what we're gonna do for make our communities better. Food is to be the good factor to bring everyone to get a good idea. Maybe we should do that. Because one thing, like I said, people have to eat.
Yes.
Make people happy. If we're gonna do something and we have something to eat, to get something out. I don't know. I answered you the right question or not.
I love that answer. I do believe that everyone has to eat. Lee, do you want to weigh in on this as well? What do you think? Can food bring us together?
Yes.
As far as like Asian cultures go, I know growing up in my house, you didn't show up late to dinner. You were in your chair, you sat down, we ate together. So I've instilled that in my own house too. So, we all go and we sit down at the table, we sit down and eat together. Like, they freak out, when I'm like, hey, let's go eat in the living room and we can watch TV. Like, what, really? I'm like, yeah, we can do it tonight because I don't feel like sitting here. But for the most part, I do think it brings us together. At our place, we had people that came every birthday, every anniversary. We had regular customers like, this is our favorite place. As I stated earlier, I grew up with everyone in the Marion community, and they grew up with me. There's kids I know that are graduating high school this year that grew up eating at Pali Kai, and it's just like, I held you when you were a baby. And so those are memories that they have, those are memories that I have, and it's just it's just being part of the community. I mean, does anyone outside of here know about Pali Kai or Kahala or Baan Thai? Maybe, but we here at home know where we're at and know everybody. So I mean, it is part of the community. If something happens to one of us, a bad review gets put out, or someone gets ill, I don't know how many times I've gotten messages from people like, "Hey, is everything okay?" And I mean, I do think it brings us together. So
Awesome. William?
I just want to share something that my wife shared with me. And both of us are, we're big foodies, but SIU hosts a international food festival every year. So, she shared with me, she always goes every year whenever it's held. And then, there was a couple of Midwestern kids, and, they were walking by. I think there was a couple of Middle Eastern food tables, and, they were just like, nah, I'm just not going to. And then she shared with me that their girlfriends got some food from those tables, and it's like, hey, you need to try it. And by the time they were done, they went back for seconds. And that's just, a great example of, no matter what your political views are, whatever your ethnicity is, good food is good food. You taste it. You just gotta overcome that initial hurdle of trying it and just kind of stepping out of the limb. But if you don't try it, you're never gonna know. But once you try it, I can't say you always like it, but at least you've tried it, and maybe you might like it. So you never know until you try. So take risks.
Awesome. Okay, so I see just a few questions, so we're going to answer these two, and then I think that way we aren't here all afternoon. One should be actually super easy. Susan wants to know if Bragg's liquid aminos is close to real soy sauce. And I'm going to weigh in just a moment because I'm actually allergic. I developed an allergy to soy sauce. And so I actually use liquid aminos, Bragg's liquid aminos, as a substitute. It's not as fun as the real stuff, at least from what I can remember of the real stuff, but it is something that I use. But as people who actually deal with restaurants and actual cooking outside of just my little fun in the kitchen, does anybody want to weigh in? Can you use Bragg's liquid aminos as a substitute for soy sauce or some sort of, substitution? Anyone else want to weigh in? Or we're going with my use of it.
I mean, at the restaurant, that is very old school, as most Asian fathers are. So, we just use, I can't tell you what brand and what type, but there is tons of kinds of soy sauce. But I mean, traditionally, soy sauce is made as a leftover from tofu, if I'm not believe. When you make tofu and you pack it down, that residual liquid up top is what they kind of brew to make soy sauce. So it's got like a real, like if you smell a jar of soy sauce, it's not that great. It's kind of like smelling a big tank of fish sauce. It's not what you want to do. So and I think it'll do the job, but it's not quite the same. It doesn't have that deep, rich flavor that a good caramelized brewed soy sauce can give you. But you like, for you don't have a choice, so you just gotta make it work.
Yeah, so for me, it works as a substitute. It's quite close, and it's what I do for sushi and when I'm doing like stir fry or something of that nature. So I do use it. There is a bit of a difference, and I will say there isn't the richness that William was talking about. Yeah, it's not exactly the same thing, but flavor-wise, it can get close if you're like me with an allergy or potentially trying to just lessen the soy sauce, the sodium component to your food. All right, so there is one more question. So this is from Adam, and he's asking, how do you see the future of Asian American dining? How important is the more immersive, but more maybe rare dine-in experience in imparting Asian culture in a world where takeout is becoming the norm? So we're kind of talking about, are we going to lose something where everybody's just grabbing their food and going, or if we're going to, still be able to bring this kind of experience, the immersive nature of Asian American dining to the world? Anyone? Thinking
I
about COVID
answered-
times now, we had a lot of takeout.
I answered earlier. Lee, I think it's your go.
Well, I don't know, because honestly, unlike these other guys, they're currently experiencing, the takeout only, the the lesser contact with people, I mean, so I'm not really experiencing as much. I think eventually we'll get back to it, but ultimately, if you think about it, I mean, you're usually not meeting with the other people that you're dining with, dining in the same building anyway. So I think it's just going to be, for now, people are just going to be enjoying it in their homes or in the park or, wherever they end up. But ultimately, we'd like it to be back to, being able to have that personal touch. I mean, I know, William and Annie both, love seeing their customers in the store and love getting that personal, hey, it's good to see you. You got your regular, how's your dog? How the kids? Everyone's growing up. We all love having that, contact with everybody. And so I hope that, it can get back to that, because I mean, you're losing your personal touch, and, at this rate, you're still getting that touch out there by, still cooking the food that people want to have. And so I think that's just how they're going to have to play it for now.
Annie, would you like to weigh in? Is there a component that's missing by not having, that in-person dining aspect, or now that we are slightly having it, but is this a crucial element to Asian dining or Asian American dining that we are potentially might be losing in the world of takeout?
Yeah, like Ali said, if you dine, you get like a fresh flavor, but sometimes it's not comfortable for you, especially in COVID time. You take out because you want your family safe, and is that for me, if you want to, it's depends on what you said to Asian situation, you want, if you have time, you dine here, you get a fresh food, warm food, get flavor. But if you don't have time, you take food to your family, you have your comfortable home. Yeah.
I kind of miss the whole idea of the lazy Susan, if we're going to be honest. Going back to what William said, I miss that. And I think that to me was that was the epitome of like my first kind of Asian food. Honestly, because I was adopted, my first Asian food was obviously in a restaurant that I can remember. I'm sure I had it in my household, but the first Asian food I can remember was a restaurant, and it was always more family style. And so I miss that. Takeout is nice because comfort level based off of what we're dealing with currently, but I do think that it's an element, but I don't think it's exclusive to Asian American dining. Yeah. I think that could be dining in general.
And I think part of the, the dining experience, is the atmosphere. I know that, if I'm dining in a place that, I'm new, I'm one of those where like, if you walk past with a plate of food, I don't know what it is. I'm gonna like rubberneck or gooseneck or something, whatever the term is, like, what is that? And I'll flag whatever guys walk by and say, hey, what is that? And I think, as an American who is not familiar with all of the different offerings of it, that's a good opportunity. When I was at Baan Thai, there was a gentleman at the next table, and he looked over and he goes, what is that? I'm like, oh, these are rock and roll clams. Like, you should get it. And he got it. And, if we were just takeout only, that interaction wouldn't have happened. He wouldn't have seen what I was eating, and he wouldn't have been, brave enough, I mean, hopefully not, hopefully he's brave enough to try it, but it's different when you see someone eating it and really enjoying it and be like, oh, I want what he's having. Kind of like the scene from Cat's Deli and When Harry Met Sally, kind of like that. Like, I want what she's having,
Oh, yeah, I would like to add up. I'm sorry. I would like to add up.
No, keep going, Annie.
Like a William. Yeah. If you go to a different restaurant, right? You saw sometimes you don't know what kind of food that you want, or you don't know what kind of food that they have. But you saw the table have, you saw this table have, it look good.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a good experience, because if you take it home, no one know what you have. Yes, it's a good idea. If you dine in here and one, you want to have pad thai, right? And you saw that table have, oh, that curry is good. There, you're gonna try the different food that you never had before. It's a good way to dine in.
Well, that's why we got Southern Illinois Eats, thanks to William. You know, keep sharing all the foodie pics.
It's true.
Sometimes
The pictures bring me to the
but you
restaurant.
want to try, huh?
Well, I want to thank you so much. I'm looking and it doesn't look like we have any other questions right now. So I want to take this moment and thank all of you for joining us. Annie, thank you so much. William, thank you for weighing in. Lee, your voice was great. It was really, really amazing. I'm going to turn this back over to someone who knows how to do the rest of this part of the event. But thank you so much for allowing me to be your moderator. It was so fun to have a discussion and conversation with y'all today.
Nice meeting all of you.
Thank you.
I
Thank you
know
so
that,
much.
one thing I got from our conversation this afternoon is to remember to slow down a little bit and make connections with the people that we want to have our food from, the people that we eat with, just to take a little bit of extra time. I'm inspired to ask questions about some of the cuisine that I'm unfamiliar with. And I hope that we will all take that away from this experience this afternoon, and especially as we move out of the pandemic and we're able to join each other in person to share at a communal table. So great. Now, for those of you who have been around for the entire program, I would like to hand this off to our librarians, Jennifer Robertson and Diana Brawley-Sussman, because they are going to do a drawing and we will have gift cards for the two of the restaurants that were brought up this afternoon. So are we ready to do the drawing?
We are ready. I have drawn names from people who have been here throughout the entire program. We have 2 gift cards to give away today. One is from Baan Thai, and that one you can pick up here at the Carbondale Public Library if you win that one. And then the other is from Kahala, and we will email that one to you. We have your email address from your registration. So our 2 winners are Katie Chu wins the gift card to Baan Thai. Katie, if there's any reason why you wouldn't be able to pick that up in the library, please either click on the raise hand or put something in the chat to me so that I can switch and give you one that I can email to you. Any problem with that, Katie? She's got her hand up. Okay, maybe I'll give you new Kahala then instead, because I can email that to you. So Katie, you get new Kahala. And then that means that Gail Clam, you will get the gift card to Baan Thai. Gail Clam, if you have any problem with picking that up in the library, you can put something in the chat and let me know, but I'm pretty sure you live in Carbondale. So you can pick that gift card up here at the library, and you'll be able to go to get yourself a meal at Baan Thai. And that's it for our gift cards. Thank you so much, everyone who's listened to this conversation. This has really been remarkable. It's been so much fun getting to know all of you a little bit better. And thank you for all the wonderful food you make and being a part of this community.
Thank you for having us. It's an honor.
All right, so this concludes our IndieLens Pop-Up experience of family business this afternoon. Please take a minute to put any comments you may have. And stay tuned to WSIU and the Carbondale Public Library for unique and interesting programs throughout the summer. And next season, we will be back with more Independent Lens films and more conversations. Goodbye.